I'll say this though. I think that the reason why sometimes it feels a little counterintuitive, or I don't know what the right word would be, but for a girl to ask a guy out is because we have an innate need to be pursued. We want to be thought, like we want someone to think we are the most amazing thing that they have ever seen, and we want to feel pursued, and like this person would drop everything and would take the risk to pursue us, right? But I think also guys also,
and I would add in guys have that in reverse. They have that like that thing inside it goes, I want to pursue beauty. I want to see and cultivate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's God's perfect design, right?
Yeah.
Totally. So exactly. I think that guys have that innate desire in them as well. So I think that's why sometimes it feels maybe a little awkward. And then also just kind of how we've seen stories play out in society, in the movies that we've watched. Isn't it the guy's job to initiate that conversation? So I had that narrative playing in the back of my mind. I was like, I can't be that girl so forward and aggressive. I'm like, no.
I don't want to be the alpha male. I want you to be the alpha male.
Exactly. I don't want to be dominating. I don't want to, I don't want to come across that way. And so long story short, eventually I came to and was like, I actually think I need to respect my heart and I need to respect my feelings that I'm having, because
that's a great way to put it.
I keep seeing, we're in school together every single day. Yeah. We're in the same friend group, like really good friends, like every day after school, we're all hanging out on the weekends. And every time I see him, I'm thinking about the emotions and the feelings and the thoughts that I'm having about him, but I'm not confronting them.
Yes.
And so I'm just trying to push them off like they're not there, until eventually I was like, I think I need to respect the thought or the feelings that I'm having, and I need to tell him how I'm feeling, because we already had connection in the first place. So it felt like, even as a friend, I need to let you know where I'm at. And so I was the one to initiate that conversation and let him know how I felt. But I'll say, I left the ball in his court.
Yeah.
So I initiated the conversation. I let him know how I was feeling. And then I just was like, well, we'll see. We'll see how he responds. And it was great and amazing. And he was the one to go, oh, okay, I would love to pursue you. I can't right now. This is my timeline. And it gave me, oh, okay, he is going to pursue. He is the pursuer in this. But it was totally okay for me to initiate that conversation.
Yeah.
It was my own personal story. But I feel like also too, if you're a girl, this guy isn't your friend, you're just interested in getting to know him better, I think it's appropriate to ask him, hey, you want to grab a coffee? But I would almost like let that be. I would initiate one thing and see if he initiates back. I wouldn't be the one to continually pursue him. That makes sense.
Totally. Yeah, I would agree. Even from a guy's perspective, I think that there's a difference. One of the things we talk about in Date Well, subtle plug, is the difference between initiation and pursuit.
Yeah.
That sometimes I consider it like a game of tag. Sometimes you tag the person first, but then it's like, are you going to chase after me?
Yeah,
and
that's a great perspective.
Sometimes guys are great with picking up things, and sometimes we're slower than girls to realize what's going on in the situation, both in dating and in marriage. And sometimes, like, my wife is like, hey, this is happening. I'm like, I don't know. And then
totally.
A few weeks later, I was like, so you were right.
That gut instinct.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
So sometimes guys just need a little little nudge, or like, hey, I'm here. I'm like, hey, this would be good. And so I do love the idea. In an ideal world, that the guy would see it first and be the one to like take the risk first and put himself out there. And so, but I think, sometimes girls just, they may need a little nudge, or you may need a little, like a long pat on the arm, just to register for the guy to go, oh, because maybe he's just in his own world. Maybe he has a different timeline of something that's going on in his world. Maybe he thinks you're out of his league. Maybe he's just has always seen you as a friend, and it hasn't crossed boxes.
His mind.
Yeah. And so when you see that, it's kind of like sliding it across the table to go, hey, this would go well for you. I had a girl ask me out once. Well, actually a couple times, different girls. Once she used I wrote an article, How to Ask a Girl Out, and I walked through it, which I'll explain in a minute, but she used it to ask me out. And I was like, why does this feel so
familiar?
Good and normal? Yeah. And I was like, she used my article. I was like, wow, that was good. But another time she just said, somebody just said, hey, if you'd ever ask me out, it would go well for you. And that was her just little I'm just going to leave this here. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
And it's just like little stuff like that. I think girls don't have to be like, I'm going to take you out. Like you said earlier, I want to
Right.
pick you up at 7:00.
Right.
You know, like that's not what we're doing, but it's just going, hey, this would go well. Like here's an area of interest, or, hey, I think that I'm open to exploring more than friends with you.
Mm-hmm.
And just leaving it there and letting the guy go, hey, are you going to pick up the ball? Like, are you
Right.
going to pick it up and do something with it? Or are you going to leave it there?
Right. Totally.
In which case, guys, if that happens to you, most likely you probably don't have an answer right in the moment. So you're
Yeah.
just kind of like, oh, for many reasons. It could feel like I've never thought about it before. It could be like I was planning on it. Now I feel the moment stolen. It could be a shock to your masculine like identities.
Yeah.
To go,
I've been curious, like, how does it make a guy feel?
I don't know everybody.
Yeah.
This is an honest Abram response. I was like, I was kind of a bit bummed that I didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, well, I also didn't make the move fast enough, so that's on you, Abram.
Right.
But yeah, like, So I think even that, when I have to self-talk and walk through the awareness of going, why did that sting? I'm like, it's just because it wasn't the ideal story that I wish it would have happened.
Right.
Because I'm a romantic. But another friend said it this way: we often think of your romantic story is how you met and first started, but there's so much more to your story.
It's just the beginning.
I know so many great couples that have been married for 15 years who have great stories that once you know them for a long time to go, the woman goes, oh yeah, actually I nudged him first, or like I told him to ask me out, or I asked him out straight. I was like, oh, there's so much more to your story than the first incident.
So much more.
Yeah.